I'll tell you what, you're pulling up for this one. You are a dog. Welcome. Dap you up. So today I want to go over my exact process for setting up my short documentaries, or you can call them character profiles, branded content, all kind of in the same vein. We're going to talk about how I prep, how I structure, how I just set myself up for a good film. And we're going to do it in steps. I'm going to use my documentary, Afterlight with CJ Nicholas, I posted a couple weeks back, as kind of like the main example for this. And if you're feeling good after you watch this and you want to check out the final product, you can watch the film now, or you can watch behind the scenes, where you can candidly watch just how all the things that we talk about today unravel on production. I do all my pre-production inside of Milnote, which I have been doing for pretty much every project since 2021. They're also today's video sponsor, which is one of those brands where it's just kind of easy money for me to incorporate because I was gonna use it anyway. It's just a great tool for someone with a chaotic creative mind to just dump everything that's in their head into one organized visual spot. And good news for people who had a big gripe with the mobile app version of Milnote in the past, me being included, they set it up now where their boards perfectly mimic what your board looks like on the desktop. So it is exact replication finally of what is on your desktop right there on mobile. So it's actually a super useful tool when you're actually on production. You can constantly go back and refer to it. If you get stuck and you need a source of inspiration, you need to check your interview questions, whatever you need to do. So step one for me, creating these short documentaries, I always want to think about, what am I curious about? You need to start with something that you're genuinely curious about. Remember, one of the best parts about being a filmmaker is you get to immerse yourself in the world of whatever it is you're filming. So I always like to pick things that I'm excited to get to experience. For me, I'm someone who spent my entire life in sports, and sports are something that will always be a part of me and excite me still. So I like to look for athletes a lot of the time. And a lot of time I like to look for athletes that are in underrepresented sports. It's very interesting for me to get to know and understand people who dedicate their lives to a very specific niche sport. I also know that Taekwondo is just visually a beautiful form of mixed martial arts. I knew it would look great on camera. It doesn't need to be sports. It doesn't need to be an athlete. It doesn't even need to be a specific person that's getting you excited. It could be a community or a place that's getting you excited, and you can find a person within that community or that place. Good rule of thumb for me is I like to find something that even if the film goes wrong, I still got to experience that thing, and that was net positive for my life. Chances are, if you're passionate about the topic, it's gonna be a good film just because you're gonna put your heart into it. So step number two is you're gonna wanna find the right person. Once you figure out what you wanna talk about, you need to find the right person within that community, culture, place, whatever it is, that's gonna be the right fit for you. Do some research on different people, see if they have a compelling story, see if they live in an interesting environment. Is this somebody that you realistically would have access to? Are they a super big celebrity that you wouldn't have any time with? Or is it someone that you feel like you could really have access to a lot of their life? Going off that, do they fit within your budget? You know, in this case, if you're filming an athlete, if you have budget, maybe you can lean into someone who's a little bit more elite in their craft. I had a little bit of budget for this project because of sponsors like Milnote, sponsors like MusicBed who sponsor my channel, and I reinvest that money into these projects. But say you have $0, you're gonna wanna look for someone who is maybe starting out, someone who is lesser known, someone with a more unique path. Maybe they're not elite, but they've struggled through. So yeah, it's really important to just do your research, see who's out there, and find the right person for you. Then once you identify who you believe to be the best fit for your project, you're gonna do step number three, which is to reach out. Do not overthink this part. The worst that they can say is no, and then you just figure out a new direction for your film. My go-to for this is sending an Instagram DM. Here's the exact DM that I sent CJ. If you wanna check it out, copy it, use something similar, whatever you wanna do. Step number four, I like to set up my pre-interview with the person, where I ask them if we could just hop on a video call, maybe it's on Google Meet, where I can just talk to them about their story, how they got into what they're doing, where they're currently at now, and just kind of get to know them better. That's also a great opportunity for that person to get to know you and just make sure you're not crazy. So in the days leading up to that call, I'll usually just jot down random pre-interview questions on my Milnote board, not organized at all. I'll just throw everything at the wall. The conversation will kind of just like lead where it leads, but I want to make sure I have a bunch of questions that I can just ask and just get to hear their story from them outside of what's on the internet, what you see on YouTube. This is also a great opportunity to lock in their logistical situation. When are they going to be available to film? Where can you film with them? Are they available for 3 to 4 days of filming? How tight is their schedule? How flexible is their schedule if you want to plan specific parts of your shoot around specific things? All these kind of like nitty gritty things that you really want to kind of get to towards the end of that pre-interview conversation. I think what's going to be the most important part of this call is getting a sense of their excitement level for being a part of this project. Are they really excited to be a part of this, or does it kind of feel like it's just something else they have to deal with? You need someone who's excited to be a part of it. You need someone who wants to be involved and will give you their best self for your film. So after that pre-interview, you move on to step 5, which is shaping your story. What story are you going to try to tell about this person? It's definitely more difficult in shorter form documentaries, but I still like to find a clear narrative arc if I can. So Milno, I'll put together a master outline of the story. A story structure that I found that works best for these short documentaries and I use for the CJ film is number 1, hook in your viewer. Whether this is visually, this is story-based, whatever it is that you can do where the viewer's gonna sit there and be like, oh, like, I'm here, I'm gonna watch this. The next thing that you're gonna wanna do is introduce your character. So for me, it's who is CJ Nicholas?
Presenting the United States 23-year-old CJ Nicholas, a rising star in the sport of...
Then you wanna show your inciting moment. What happened? Doing my research on CJ, I know he had just lost the bronze medal contest in the Paris Olympics, and he has a YouTube channel where he talks about that a little bit. And he really struggled with that defeat, and he wanted to quit Taekwondo as a whole and do something completely different from his life. He was really at a low point, and he managed to get himself out of that and find and revigorate that passion and love that he has for Taekwondo. And that was what I found to be like super interesting and a very compact story that could fit within a short doc form. So I really wanted to lead into that. So I really asked him a lot of questions about that experience in our pre-interview so I could understand a lot more about, what happened during that period of his life. So the inciting moment for this short doc for me was going to be the loss that CJ had in Paris. Next, we're going to explore how that inciting moment affected the person. So for CJ, he went home back to North Carolina and was in this complete silence for a long period of time that he really struggled and didn't even know who he was at that point. Next, I want to figure out how they moved forward. So how did CJ get out of this darkness that he was experiencing? A lot of it had to do with family. A lot of it had to do with coaches. A lot of it had to do with him just needing that time to sit in silence and refine that passion and raw love that he originally had for the sport and why he fell in love with it in the first place. And finally, I concluded the film with where our person is today. So at the end of the film, the song plays and CJ's got this beautiful quote where he says something like,
because I lost belief in everything that I knew, I got to decide what I believed in.
Yeah, happy ending to this film, but it doesn't always need to have a happy ending. And there's different ways for your person to tell the story. It could be a script that they read, or it can be interview style. I went with interview style. CJ is a very candid speaker. Just hearing his raw tone and emotion was gonna make the piece feel a lot more authentic. So based on his pre-interview, I developed questions that would kind of get him to answer exactly what I needed to be answered in each specific section. So who is CJ Nicholas? I straight up asked him, who is CJ Nicholas? To get CJ to talk about how the inciting moment affected him, I asked him, what was it like just returning home after the Olympics? I knew exactly what he was gonna say in his answers because it's all questions I kind of asked him in our pre-interview and things that we kind of went over already, and we just needed him to say it on camera. Then once you figure out the shape of your story, step 6, you're gonna define your look and feel of your film. And this is really one of my favorite parts where you can really sit back and just do your inspirational watching, where you're watching reference videos, you're kind of gauging like, oh, I love this color grading, I love this aspect ratio. I love the music that they're using here. I'd love to use something similar. You know, I'm taking screenshots and putting everything into a mood board, really just crafting what this thing's gonna look and feel like. And what I like to keep in mind is I'm going out and I'm making this thing by myself. It needs to be something that is visually beautiful, but also visually simple so that A, I can do it with the equipment that I own, and B, if all else fails other than me and CJ on location, we are able to get this shot. Then I like to put together my story with my visual cues and like to put together like a little creative deck that I can then share with my sponsors like Milanote and Music Bed, and also share with the person that I'm gonna be filming with, CJ in this case, so they have a really clear understanding of what we're about to create. Once you have a solid understanding of what you're gonna create, you need to start locking down your logistics. What do you need? Where do you need to be? Who needs to be involved? Are you traveling? Do you need hotels, Airbnbs? Are you booking a studio session for a specific shot? Do you need specific props? Like in my interview setup, I had the Handycam hooked up to the old TV and I needed to figure out what cables I needed. I needed to test that at my house to make sure it worked before I actually went out there. This is a big reminder of making sure that you're staying within the confines of your budget. Don't go over budget with hotel bookings, with locations. If you can't afford a location, find one that you can use for free. Step 8 is to build your schedule. Once you have all your locations, all your creative, all your story, you have your availability from your talent, you need to put together the most optimal schedule to get everything that you want to try to get. So what I'll usually do is I'll break my shoot up into specific sections of what we are filming. So on my shot list, I'll have CJ's training session, CJ's home life section, CJ's studio session / interview, our session at the Outer Banks at the beach. And I'll build out a shot list for that specific location, everything that I visually would want to try to grab at that location. And that gives me a good estimate of how much time I will need at that location. And while you're looking at your shot list, think about how many shots you want to do outside. What kind of lighting do you want outside? If you're using all natural light and you want the lighting to be pretty, it's gonna be towards more of a golden hour type and not high noon. So you wanna make sure that your outdoor shots are at late in the afternoon, and maybe schedule something that's indoor when the light is less optimal midday. Being good at making a schedule is something that takes a lot of time. You gotta be on a lot of shoots, know how you are, how you operate, and how much you're able to get through at any given time. Once you have everything figured out and you're prepared as you could possibly be, you just gotta go and make it happen. You have to understand things will go wrong. What you did in pre-production is a great guide, but it won't always turn out that way. You could have your car window broken into and have to miss a whole section of filming that you wanted to get that morning. You could have a shift in weather, a shift in an athlete's schedule. There is a lot of variables that could go wrong. There's a lot of variables that could go right. You could find happy surprises where you're filming something that you end up not using a lot of, and you hop out of the truck and you see that there's this gorgeous puddle on the ground where your subject can do these sweet taekwondo movements in the puddle with the reflection of this gorgeous sky, and it could end up being the opening shot of your film that you didn't plan for. Whatever happens, you're prepared as you possibly could be. You're out there with an open mind. You're capturing things in a spontaneous manner. You're being flexible. You're adapting. You're having fun. You're enjoying the thing that you're going to make. You're going to make a good film. And amongst all of it, don't forget to just take a breath. If you need a moment by yourself to just calm yourself, get in the right headspace, in the morning, go for a run. If you're on set and you're stuck, go to the bathroom, whip open Milanote. You did all this beautiful planning already inside your Milanote board. Check out your shot list, get some inspiration from that. Review your interview questions. Whatever you need to do, like you've put in the work already, just take a deep breath. Remind yourself why you're out there. If you're liking how I do my pre-production, you want to sign up for Milanote, there's a link in my description. Highly, highly recommend using Milanote. I actually use it. on everything. Again, if you want to watch this production unfold, you can watch the behind the scenes episode on my channel, or if you want to watch the actual final film, you can watch that on my channel as well. Yeah, go out and make those projects, and most importantly, have fun doing it. I love you.